Okay, wait another 2 minutes. Sorry for the delay. We're having some technical difficulties before, hence the late start. Give it one more minute. Let everybody know that we're live. Okay, live, and we're back in the home of the commish. And tonight will be the SYBK Hockey Show. Live again. I know a lot of you have been saying that we've been missing some content from the league. So here I am giving you some live feedback. Tonight, plans are to go over standings, recap each team, see where we are as a league thus far, and and then we're going to take some callers. Number to call in is 917-693-0802. That's my phone number. So feel free to call in, and I'll take calls as as the show goes on. First off, on a good note, although he hasn't shown face this season, I'd like to thank Freddie Harari for all that he does for the league. I know a lot of you think that the league just gets run and operated by its own, but Freddie does a ton of work behind the scenes for us. And if anybody sees him, he hasn't been on the ice this season yet, but if anybody sees him, you should just tell him thank you, tip your hat to him for all that he does, because we would not be a league without him. So Fred, from the commish, I'd like to say thank you. That being said, I'd like to start off the show on a very important note. When Freddie and myself started this league, it was because we needed a league where we can play together. A league that would be our league, a league where we didn't need to worry about, if the goon or the guinea or the non-Jewish guy or whoever it was going to meet us outside after in the street because we decided to get into a fight that night. It was going to be a league where we can play as friends, a community league, and a league that would be ours. And when Freddie approached me to do that, I said, sure, I think it's a great idea. We were playing in different leagues at the time, and things were getting a little bit violent, and we were getting a little bit older with more responsibilities, and truthfully, guys really just needed to wake up in the morning. We all love to play hockey, but at the end of the day, we all know we have bigger responsibilities. And So when we created the league, it was supposed to be a community league where everybody would respect each and everyone on the ice. Now, I'm not saying that we should not, try our hardest, play our hardest that we can, and everybody wants to win. And I understand that. And everybody's going 110% because this is what we do. We don't know how to go soft. We don't know how to take it easy. Everybody wants to win and the competitive edge in all of us. And I love that. But there is a line, and it's been crossed before, and unfortunately that line got crossed again this week, where people are going at each other and it turns in from trash talking to nonsense to fighting to swinging sticks to not taking care of each other to just plainly moronicness, acting stupid. And this week we had an incident in the first game where the game got heated right away. There was a couple of players trash talking to each other, and yes, guys were given penalties, but yelling at the ref, screaming back and forth. Everybody thought they were right, and things got a little bit out of hand. And I'm not gonna have it. I'm not gonna have it. It's not why I created this league. It's not why I started this league, and because I'm not going to have it. And due to what happened, there's going to be consequences. Now, some might not say that it's fair. Some might say that he did it, she did it, I was defending myself. It's ridiculous. So after, everybody knows, most of us were there that night, so I really don't need to say everybody's name that was involved. And the rules state that if a player gets thrown out of the game because of fighting, he will have to serve a game suspension. And when you are thrown out of the game because of fighting, doesn't mean that you could fight outside of the rink also. Punches are not allowed to be thrown in this league. Absolutely not. We will not have it. Any sort of fighting that goes on, there will be suspension served. And yes, sometimes I don't see it, but this week I was there. I saw what happened firsthand, and unfortunately, suspensions are going to be given out. So next week for the Winnipeg Jets, Maurice Bijou will serve a one-game suspension, and for the Vancouver Canucks, Ike Cabasso will be serving a one-game suspension. These suspensions are not up for arbitration, debate, this, that. I gave out the suspensions, and if you want to continue playing in our league, the suspension needs to be served. And again, we're going to have a strict policy on this for the entire rest of the season. Guys better come to the rink with their heads screwed onto their shoulders and acting calm and reserved and serving penalties when they deserve to be served, and not acting like retards on the ice. So putting that besides us, that's all I'd like to address that topic about tonight, and I hope that should be the rest of it for the rest of the season. Again, we're taking callers. Feel free to call in, 917-693-0802. Anybody feel free to call in, and we will take your calls. So on a good note, the league, I think I'm not sure everybody was aware how we drafted teams this year, but starting back 6 weeks ago, we drafted them with 4 captains, and there were 3 captains. David's wife didn't let him come to the draft. So 3 captains in the room, and with David on our ear, we tried to create 4 basically very even teams that any of the captains could have been placed on any of the teams. And honestly, I think we did a pretty good job if you look at the standings after 5 weeks of play. After 5 weeks of play, there's 3 teams tied in first place, which I don't think we ever had. The Jets, the Canucks, the Flames. And the Edmonton Oilers sit in last place at 1-4 with only 2 points. So I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up to give quick recaps of each team. And we'll go from there. For these Edmonton Oilers, I think their record is a lot worse than they actually are. I've been part of bad teams. Hold on one second. I just want to pull up their stats. So I've been part of some bad teams in this league, and where I know like it's a disaster from day one. And I don't think that this Winnipeg Jets team is a disaster. They're in every game. They're in it until the third period, but for some reason, and in most games, they actually have a lead. But just for some reason, they cannot find a way to hold on to a lead. And it started from game one against the Jets. They were up 2-0. It was 3-2 late, and they gave up a shorthanded goal. Against the Flames, they were up 5-1, and they couldn't hold on to a lead, and they ended up losing that game 7-5. I'm not sure what happened in the Week 3 loss to the Canucks. Week 4, they pulled the winner against the Jets in a shootout. And that game, they also had a 4-1 lead, and they couldn't hold on to it, and it was 4-all. And last night, they were up 2-0, gave up 2 shorthanded goals on the same power play, tied the game one up 2-2. The game was tied 2-2. Then they scored in the beginning of the third to go up 3-2, and then gave up 3 goals, go down 5-3, and lose the game 5-4. They have to find a way to. They have to find a way to just to hold on to a lead. And I really think that they have a lot of veterans on this team, guys like David leading the way, and guys like Lewis, Jeffrey, and Elliott Sutton. But for some reason, they cannot get it done. Why is that? I don't know. They did make a trade last week, moving Ronnie Shalom and Thomas Ridge and acquiring Ezra Gariani and Joey Cohen. We thought that was going to help them. And maybe on the back end, he's playing with him and Mike Shamma. Maybe that's not strong enough. Maybe that's his problem. Maybe they should move Ezra back. Maybe they need to make a trade. They need a little bit more offensive power, somebody helping out Jeffrey Towell. We know Jeffrey's won numerous MVPs before. He can carry a team, but maybe it's just not enough. Honestly, I do think this team has enough skill on this team to win, but for some reason they're just not holding on to leads, and that's their biggest bugaboo right now. So, David Cavasso, I don't know if another change is necessary for you, but you just need to maybe change the game plan and be able to hold on to a lead. If anybody from the Oilers wants to give us a call and let us know what's going on in that locker room, we'd love to hear from you. Next, I'd like to talk about the Calgary Flames. It's funny that this team is tied for first at 4-2 with a big win this week, because going into this week, this team was a disaster. And credit to Abraham Haber, because he cleaned up the garbage rather quickly. I think after last week's game, there was an incident in the locker room where one guy, jokingly threw a piece of ice at the other guy, and then all of a sudden it was a full-out brawl because tensions were high because they lost the game, and there was no cohesiveness in the locker room. And Abraham Haber, kudos to him, he traded some of those players and picked up Ronnie Shalom and Thomas Ridge from the Oilers. And this team is showed some signs of life this week, being down 2-0 and coming back into the game, and showing some heart and some fight. I think the strongest point on this team is Morris Bailey. When he got Bailey in net, really, the sky is the limit. We were all uncertain about what was going to happen with him in the beginning of the season. He hasn't played in a couple of seasons, but Morris has been fantastic. The first 2 games of the season, he single-handedly kept them in the games, saving breakaway after breakaway after breakaway, and he was truly tremendous in net for them. That was the first week when they beat the Oilers. Then they lost the second week. No, I'm sorry. They beat the Oilers twice. Right. And they lost to the Canucks. Anyways, doesn't matter. But yeah, shout out to Mo Bailey. A lot of rumors going about this team because through the cracks I've been hearing, superstar Mo Mala is not so happy on this team and might be looking for a new home. I'm not sure if him and Abe Haber cleared things up after last week's incident that was in the locker room. But I've seen on a couple of Mo Mala went on to a couple of Twitter rants and saying how he's not so happy in Calgary. So will there be a huge trade moving Mo Mala before the deadline? But otherwise, with the acquisition of Ronnie played great last night. He scored a couple of goals. But I think the biggest surprise on this team, and I watched him play last night, is Ali Haddad. He was centering a line with Mo Mala, and this kid is going to be a future star in this league. This kid is fast. He's got good hands. He was making good moves. He set up Mo Mala on one of the short-handed goals that I don't even think Henrik Lundqvist was going to save. It was really unbelievable. A lot of pressure. It's going to be a lot of pressure. If they're depending on Ali Haddad to do so much, I don't think this team is going to go far. But if he can have somebody that he can ride the coattails on and not need to be the center of attention, this kid is going to be very, very good. He is a superstar in the making. And I really think we found a really special player in Ali Haddad. Again, anybody wants to call in, number is 917-693-0802. We'll be on air for another 10 minutes, so if anybody wants to give us a call, please feel free to do so. Next on the list is the Winnipeg Jets, captained by Phil Dweck. This team started out really, really hot. They went out 3-0, beat the Oilers in the first week, beat the Canucks week 2 with a Canuck team that was barely there, beat the Flames in overtime, and then lost to the Jets in a shootout, and then last night got beaten by the Canucks. This team is very good, but I think they don't have enough direction, and I think that falls onto the shoulders of Phil Dweck. And it's hard for a defenseman to be a captain. Oh, we have our first caller of the night. SYBK Hockey Show. May I ask who's calling?
Yes, this is Abe Haber and Richie Bailey. Richard Jamal.
Along with Richard Jamal. Wow, we have three guys on the line here. Okay, are you guys having a viewing party?
Yes, we have a viewing party in the home of Richard Bailey. With Black Costa.
Is he serving alcohol, or is nobody else drinking anymore because too many people came to the rink drunk last night?
Richie Bailey's actually taking a drug test in the bathroom, so he's back in a few minutes.
Wait, can you just lower the volume back there? We hear our echo.
Okay. I was making dinner. What's going on, Joe?
What's happening, Richard Dick? Rich, I'll be the first to ask you, how do you feel? We know you're on the IR for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Are you really injured, or are you just trying to save yourself for the playoffs?
Well, you can ask Abraham and Richard right now. They're watching me ice my knee as we speak. I hope to be back in a couple of weeks, hopefully sooner rather than later. I guess we'll just have to take it day by day.
Rich, let me ask you quickly about your team, the Canucks, who actually just talked. Oh, we didn't start talking about your team yet, but we might as well. The Canucks. A lot of people thought that yes, you have Aaron Harari on your team, but which is always a positive. But there didn't seem to be enough of a supporting cast for this team to thrive. What are your thoughts?
I think they're clearly very wrong. We got guys like Kubi and Sam Beta, Sam and Adam Go Beta, all these little guys that everyone thought that they couldn't hold their own.
Right.
And Victor, too, the guy like Kubi, put him on D, and he's phenomenal. So.
Oh, Victor Silverman, you're talking about.
Yeah.
And do you think you need to be putting? So who do you have playing D for you now? You, him, and Ike?
And Ike, and we also put Aaron Herrera. We trust him on D also. He's very good.
Wow, so you're rotating that many defensemen. And what are your predictions with the team? First of all, let me ask you: are you with the suspension served to Ike Cabasso? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we're gonna have to see how Victor Silverman can play. Can handle the pressure. Obviously, he's young. He's never really played D in the league before, but this is his first season, so he's playing very well lately. We just have to see. He's going to get a lot more ice time if he has to handle it, If you're watching, you got to step up to the plate, baby.
Gotcha. Okay, I heard you have Richard Jamal there. Rich, we were talking about your team, the Winnipeg Jets. I'm part of that team. I didn't get to give my full recap yet on the team, but what are your thoughts?
I think we have a solid squad. I think that we have to play a little bit more defense to win games, but I like our squad for the most part.
Now, the team started off hot, 3-0. Yes, you beat the Vancouver Canucks with a team that barely showed up in week 2, but you won a game. You won a game where you only had 6 guys in week 3. Then you pulled off a shootout victory in week 4.
We lost that game in shootout.
Oh, shootout game we lost. I'm sorry, and we pulled out the overtime win. But last night, what are your thoughts about last night's game?
That was a fun game, honestly. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
But we shouldn't be doing those types of things. Yeah, but I think that we showed heart coming back, and I liked it.
Rich, do you know that you are actually right now tied amongst the league leaders in points? And we're almost halfway through the season. Do you see yourself being amongst atop the leaderboard when the season comes to the end?
It's all my teammates. I'm just in the right place at the right time. But it'd be nice. It'd be nice to be up there at the end of the season. But I definitely want to place the cup. That's the most important thing.
Okay, I love it. Abe Haber. So you made a move. A week ago. There was some extracurricular activity in your locker room that it seemed like you did not appreciate at all. And you took the broom out and you started cleaning house because it was not a team that you wanted to be a part of. Talk to us about what happened there.
People think I made the trade because of the fight in the locker room. I actually was not planning on trading Ezra Guriani, but David counter-offered to me with him in the deal, and I said, honestly, we both could use the mix-up, and Ronnie injected our offense with a little speed. Ezra Guriani, he's a veteran, but he hasn't been producing like we hope he would. And, of course, we got Joey Cohen, who's, he throws ice and stuff, but it's okay. We love him anyway. And we got Thomas Ridge instead in exchange. And I think I really like Ridge's game compared to Joey's. I believe that he's more solid out on defense as a third defenseman on our team. And I think it made us a little bit stronger than before.
So last night you guys came back, which was pretty solid comeback, scoring 2 shorthanded goals. But one of the power play goals, Abe, I'm sorry that I have to point this out, but Louis Shammy made a move around you, man. Oh my goodness gracious! How is your Babo?
Okay, I usually give credit where credit is due. I'm not denying it wasn't a good move, but I actually lost my footing before he even got me.
He lost his footing. Okay.
Let me finish. He made the moves, and then he ended up, sliding a nice backhand through Bailey's leg.
It was a vintage Louis Shammy goal. It was beautiful. It was vintage.
Yeah. It's fine, I mean, at the end of the day, the win is what matters, and the rest of the team picked up my poor play on that one particular pass, and we came back, we fought back into the game, and we took the lead back. We never actually had the lead, and we got the lead, and we took it, and we just finished up.
Okay, last question for you. There's been a lot of talks coming. I mean, maybe things got settled after you making that trade last week, but it sounds like Mo Mala isn't happy. And is he somebody that you are willing, if the right deal comes around, will you be willing to move him?
I actually want to make a live trade on air.
Oh wow! Okay, breaking news. I don't even know anything about this. Okay.
I don't know if I can say it out loud. Did I say it out loud? Abe, you wanted to trade Mo Mala to who? This is not. It wasn't Aaron Harari. It was anybody but Aaron Harari. I believe it was like. What'd you say? I think he forgot. Rich, I said not to talk about this on the air. It didn't work out well. I tried.
It didn't work out well. Okay, but let's go back to the question here. Abe, I don't know if there was more happy feelings after a win last night, and now that the locker room you got it back to be caned. But there's been words coming from Calgary that Mo Mala, doesn't like that part of Canada, and
I can clear up the rumors to you right now. I spoke to Mo. He's into it. He's ready to win. He likes the move that we made, and to be honest, he kind of got his mojo back last night, scoring a goal from a great feed from Ali to tie it up, I believe. And he's just. I think he had a slow start to the season. I mean, it's not because of really who's on the team. It was more a matter of preference and who he wanted to play with.
right.
He wanted to play with Aaron Harari, but once he saw that we were capable of winning, we have a solid goaltender in Mark Bailey. Obviously, he's probably one of the best in the league. The best, sorry. I don't want to brag, but he's a very skilled goalie. Anyway, we have me and Ridge on D with A.B. Silvers has been picking it up lately, and I think he could be a good defender in the league for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
And our offense got a little deeper with the Ronnie trade.
Right.
He makes our second line more complete, more well-rounded on offense now, and I think we're a team to be reckoned with.
Right. And this week you got a big game against the Jets. The loser on this game.
For our team to see what we're really made of.
Right. Last time you two played, the game was won and decided in overtime, so it was a great game. And the Jets have yet to play with a full squad, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to play with one this week either due to the suspension that was handed out. But so 6 weeks in, the Jets are really hanging on to the first place where they started off, still without a full team. So, I don't know if that makes them good, bad, or indifferent, but we'll see as the season goes on.
Well, look, the season is just gearing up for the playoffs. At the end of the day, every team makes the playoffs, and even David Cabasso's case.
Yeah, but nobody wants to end up in that four seed. So.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, like you said before, all the teams are made evenly. I believe every team is fair. Every team has an opportunity to win, and no matter what seed you are, I believe whoever has the will to win will win.
Right.
Okay. How many views do you have?
What?
How many views? How many viewers?
900. 900.
Wow.
Yeah.
Divide that by 10?
Yeah. Talk to you later. See you later, guys.
Take care,
Okay.
Joe. Thank you.
So you just heard from two captains and two of our sponsors. This year's sponsors, we have Abe's Original Beef Jerky by Abraham Haber. Click on the link on our website to receive some jerky. Always good for some jerky after a good hockey game. And if you need some tunes in your locker room, click on the link from DJ Richie J, Richard Jamal. He's a proud sponsor of our league also. And Richard is up there tied for the league lead in points with Aaron Harari and Arya Bortz. So back to where I was before the call came in. We were talking quickly about the Winnipeg Jets. And I said that this team is good, solid team. They started off the season 3-0, but I feel like they lost their way. They've yet to been playing a game with a full roster. And again, through 6 weeks of the season, they're not going to play a game this week because they're going to have Maurice Bijou serving a one-game suspension. But they did acquire Ben Valinsky off the waiver wire due to the injury for Joe Malla, who's out for the rest of the season because he tore his ACL. But I think there's a lot of characters on this team, and as captain, Philip Dweck might need to get all these guys on the same page and buy into a system where they all do the job. All these guys want to do is shoot and score and kind of do it on their own. There seems to be a lot of areas where the ice was open last night, and if that guy makes that extra pass, and if that other skater comes back a little, back checks a little harder, there might be, there is a lot of room for improvement. And it's very funny to say that there's room for improvement for a team that's in first place, but hey, they're on a 2-game losing streak. Yes, they did lose one game in a shootout, and last night's game, they did put a valiant effort into a comeback. Besides for some bonehead plays that took them out of the game completely. But, there's a lot of room for improvement on this team, and it's funny to say improvement for a first-place team. So I would say to watch out for these guys. And also on the Jets, they have two players in the top 3 in scoring, tied for first in Arya Bortz and Richard Jamal. Not sure if I said that already, but Bortzy has become a nice, really top A1 player in this league, up there with Aaron Harari and Aaron Cabazzo. But once he starts getting more familiar with the guys that he's playing with, I think he can be a real, although he already is, real superstar in this league. Now let's talk about the Vancouver Canucks. A team that has Aaron Harari is always a team that is going to be in it. We try to limit this team with not too many strengths due to Aaron being Aaron and having his name on the cup so many times. But truth be told, this team is very solid. He has one of the better defensemen on his team in Richie, although Richie's injured for the next 2-3 weeks. He's got a great line mate in Isaac Cabasso. Although, people like to call Isaac slow, Isaac was really great last night. He slows the game down for Aaron. He gets him the puck. They find each other, and it's really an unbelievable tandem. Their weakness here is Steven Krieger, their goalie. I hate to call him out, but I played with Steven before. I think he's a very good goalie, but he has to find a way to keep his cool. If he can keep his cool, he can be exceptional, unbelievable, and really take this team to the promised land. But once he starts getting out of his element and starts focusing on what's going on around him and who's hitting him and pushing him and nudging him, he tends to lose focus in his actual game. And that's when opportunities are presented to the other team. And that happened a little bit last night, I think, where the Canucks had a 4-1 lead, and then they came back to bring the game to 5-3, almost going on a power play. Then we all know what happened. Guys got into a fight, thrown out, yada yada. But if Steven can, stay within himself and keep himself within, this team is really deep. So that's a recap on all 4 teams. My prediction going forward, I'm not going to really give you any predictions tonight. I think But I do think a couple of things. I think that although the Oilers made a move, I think they need somebody to do a little bit more scoring to help Jeffrey Towell out. So whether that's maybe doing a change and moving David forward and letting Ezra and Joey playing defense with Michael Shamma, or making a move to try and obtain another scorer, that might be a possibility. For the Flames, the big question there was, is their top scorer Mo Mala happy? He hasn't produced a ton this season, but can he stay happy in Calgary and feed off the positive energy to create a winning team? The questions for the Jets are, can they work together as a cohesive unit? They've lost 2 games in a row. They were on a high horse. Can they bounce back and be all on the same page and maybe even show up all together for a full team to see what this team has as unity? And then for the Canucks, although they have strengthened up front with Aaron and even in the back with Richie, can the goalie stay contained and be able to take them to the promised land? That's my thoughts so far through 5 weeks of the season. This season we'll be playing 10 weeks, so it's not our regular 9-week season. It's 10 weeks, and I'll be announcing it here first. Week 10 will be the number 1 seed versus the number 2 seed, no matter how it winds up. And it'll be the number 3 seed versus the number 4 seed, so it's kind of a position week where hopefully at that point, the 3 and the 4, it'll be a very important game. Maybe they can flip-flop positions. The same thing in the 1 and the 2. So this way, because nobody really wants to be in that number 4 seed with the potential of having to win 2 games to advance to the finals versus being in the 2-3 game, which is just 1 game elimination. So it's a 10-game season. Week 10 will be a position week. And then from there, we'll move on to the playoffs with our regular format. The schedule is on the website. I hope everybody is enjoying the league. And we will see you all on the ice on Sunday.